Well, yeah, okay. So then these other guys came out and they started posting all this stuff about uh, the Toronto skyline. And you've probably seen the meme being passed around on Facebook and everything, showing the lower portion of one of the tall buildings there in Toronto being missing, and they're saying, "See, this is proof of the globe." And you start seeing videos like this one.
Another way to demonstrate the curve is with distant city skylines. A good example is the city of Toronto, viewed from across Lake Ontario. The city is dominated by the distinctive CN Tower, currently the third tallest tower in the world at 1,815 feet. There are many pictures online of the Toronto skyline viewed from Niagara on the Lake, New York, 30 miles away. With the metabunk calculation, we see that 486 feet of the tower, or about 26% of it, should be hidden behind the curve of the Earth from that distance. And this is exactly what we see, as you can easily tell when compared to an image of the full tower at the same scale. One example they use is the Chicago skyline seen from 60 miles away across Lake Michigan. At a viewing height of 6 feet, we calculate that 2,166 feet should be below the horizon at 60 miles. So they are right that the entire city of Chicago should be completely hidden. And it is hidden nearly all the time, but sometimes it can be seen from that far away due to a type of atmospheric light refraction phenomenon called a superior mirage. A superior mirage is caused by colder air below warmer air, which bends the light around the curve of the Earth. This event sometimes makes the news for the very reason that it is a rare occurrence.
Now, in most social settings, such a continuous condescending tone would likely get you punched in the face repeatedly, but beyond that, I have to remind you of the response that another former weatherman gave regarding the whole idea of this being a superior mirage. Let me play that for you again.
See, what they're not showing you is the ridiculousness of how high this mirage would be. But I'm showing you what it is right here. And remember, since we saw the water line the whole way, okay, let me show you how that would look. The water was up there with it too. So from the guy that took the camera all the way out, okay, we're supposed to believe that there was a continuous 5,200 feet inversion that suddenly just happened to come down to the guy right on the edge perfectly, so that he saw, when he looked out, like a perfect skyline across there of Chicago. So again, here are the steps. You have the regular upside, right side up image, then you turn it upside down. It has to happen on a mirage, guys. This is the typical one you see out at sea, this upside down one right here. Now what they're claiming is it was so deep, this layer here, this inversion, that it had enough to rectify back up once again. 5,200 feet. Now why did I come up with that number? Because the curvature from the distance would be 2,400 feet roughly from 60 miles. So if it happened to get the exact perfect curvature from the top of these towers, okay, it will require a minimum. Actually, it requires more than this. I'm being generous. It requires 2,400 feet plus the height of the tower. It would be 2,400 feet just to get the base. So I'm not even including that. What's the height of the tower? I don't know, whatever that is. So many, is it 1,000 feet, 1,200 feet, 14? I don't know what it is. But that's really that times 3, not 2,400. I'm being very generous. So if we were to, you've probably seen, look up superior mirages. You'll find like ships that will be upside down looking, one on top of the other. That's the typical superior mirage, which you would see right here. Okay? That would be a minimum of 4,800 feet. But since the image was not inverted and right side up, which really tells you you're looking at Chicago, you're not looking at a superior mirage. Okay? It requires 5,200 feet. I implore you, please call any National Weather Service office and ask them if they've ever seen an inversion from the surface up to 5,200 feet. Okay? They're going to laugh at you.
Now let's go back to Captain Baldhard.
You can tell that it's a mirage because there is lots of distortion. The Willis Tower on the left is clearly elongated. And also, there are videos of this same view that show the buildings dancing around, changing shape, and even disappearing. Even though this is a mirage, the bottom parts of the buildings are clearly still obscured from view, just as we expect. If the Earth was flat, you could see the buildings on any clear day, not just rarely when the conditions are right for refraction. Flat earthers use these rare events to try to prove the Earth is flat, but that makes no sense. It's called cherry picking, a favorite trick of all types of science deniers. You don't get to pick the anomalies that seem to agree with your views and ignore the common observations that don't, and still call yourself an honest investigator. That is intellectually dishonest.
Now let's see who's going to pick and choose what common observations they're going to accept and or ignore. Here's an interesting video I saw online regarding a full day time lapse revealing superior mirages. Now, this is quite extraordinary, actually. This is from skunkbayweather.com, September 7th, 2012. Notice the buildings and the shoreline here over on the left. Keep your eye on that. Just watch that, and the mountain in the background. Yeah, everything's pretty cool. You can see pretty much everything there, but as the day progresses, and we are now at 9:30 a.m. and it's 59 degrees, 60 degrees. It's getting warmer, warmer. The temperature is changing. We start to see some miraging take place. Right, it starts to distort things a little bit. Ooh, look at that. The water seems like it's getting higher, and we're losing buildings, and we're losing the beach. Here it is now, noon, 63 degrees and climbing. Uh-oh, there it goes. Oh, there it is again. Oh, it's all miraged. Huh, it's all distorted. Sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. The default is to see it, though. That's the point. The default is minus distorting atmospheric conditions, you would be able to see everything clearly. But due to different temperature variations and density in the atmosphere and whatnot, sometimes you can see the whole shoreline and the buildings, sometimes you can't. But the magic trick is not in being able to see it. It's what is taking place that obscures your ability to do so. Look at this. And the mountains in the background shrink and expand and everything too. I would suggest that you hit pause on this video and rewind and watch that back and forth a few times. In fact, I'll put the link in the show notes below because I sped this up. I made it only 2 minutes long instead of 4 minutes long. So you can watch the whole thing in a little bit slower motion there. But I mean, look at the comparison right here, just in these two images right here. The one on the right at 5:44 p.m., 63.5 degrees Fahrenheit. Can't really see anything on the left shoreline there. And on the left at 9:43 a.m., when it was 59.5 degrees Fahrenheit, we can see the shoreline, we can see buildings, trees, all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, either this lake is, filling up and draining so that the water level is higher or lower, or it's due to atmospheric lensing and distortions, refraction, and all that good stuff, causing us to not be able to see it at certain times. I think that's exactly what's going on Lake Michigan.